All right, let's talk about the magnificent Cattleya orchid. You know the one, the undisputed queen of orchids. You've babied it, you've waited patiently, and you can see the promise of a spectacular bloom just sitting there, but then nothing. It just stops. It's got to be one of the most frustrating moments for any grower, right? Well, let's dive into why this happens and, more importantly, what you can do about it. It is the question every single Cattleya owner has asked themselves at some point. You see all the right signs, you got your hopes up, but those beautiful flowers just refuse to show up. It really feels like they're trapped inside. And, the truth is, they often are. So let's unravel this little mystery together. So the source of this whole frustrating problem comes down to one single part of the orchid's anatomy. It's called the flower sheath. Now, it's a structure that's actually designed to protect the buds, but under just the wrong conditions, it becomes the very prison that stops that bloom you've been waiting for. Okay, so this is the flower sheath. It grows on the orchid's newest pseudobulb. You know, that swollen bulb-like stem where the plant stores all its water and nutrients. Think of the sheath as nature's own little suit of armor for those incredibly delicate brand new flower buds. Its whole job is to guard them against getting bumped, to keep them from drying out, and to protect them from any sudden changes in temperature. But here's where the story takes a turn. That protective sheath, which is supposed to dry up and split open all on its own, it can fail. Instead of opening up, it can harden into a tough little prison, literally trapping the buds inside. Or, even worse, it can get waterlogged and turn into an incubator for rot. And this, my friends, is the dreaded stuck sheath. So the big question is, why does this even happen? I mean, it seems like a design flaw, right? Well, while it's true some modern hybrids are just genetically prone to having thicker sheaths that have a harder time opening, the most common reasons are actually environmental factors. Things that are very much within your control as a grower. The main culprits here are high humidity paired with poor air circulation. That combo is just killer because it prevents the sheath from drying out properly and getting brittle enough to split. Instead, it just stays tough and leathery. And if you get water trapped inside while you're watering, well, you've just created the perfect storm for fungal or bacterial rot to set in. Yikes. And this brings us to a really critical diagnostic step. We need to know our enemy, right? Are we dealing with a simple dry entrapment, which is basically a physical jailbreak? Or is it the much more dangerous wet rot, which is a full-blown emergency rescue mission? The look, the feel, and especially the smell, those are going to be your key clues. So once you've figured out what the problem is, timing is absolutely everything. If you jump in too early, you could really damage those delicate buds, but if you wait too long, you could end up with deformed flowers or, lose the bloom entirely. Getting this right is so critical. So how in the world do you know when it's the right moment to play hero for your orchid? Well, good news. It's not about guessing. It's all about careful observation. And luckily for us, there are some very clear signs to look for. Here's a super simple checklist to guide you. First up, the sheath's condition. It absolutely must be papery and dry, not green and fleshy. Second, what are the buds doing? You have to be able to either see or feel that the buds inside are actually swelling up. If you can check both of those boxes, it's go time. If not, you gotta wait. Patience. And for those of you who like a more concrete rule, here's a great tip from the pros. If you can see those buds swelling inside a dry sheath for about 10 to 14 days, and there's still no sign of it splitting on its own, it's time. It's time to step in. Okay, you've made the call. It's time to operate. Now, don't be intimidated. Seriously, we're going to approach this like it's a delicate, precise surgical procedure, and you are the surgeon. With the right tools and the right technique, you can absolutely do this. Here are your instruments, and I want you to notice what's not on this list. Scissors. This is really, really important. Scissors crush delicate plant tissue instead of making a clean slice. So for this, a brand new sharp razor blade or a sterile scalpel is mandatory. You need a clean incision. And I can't stress this enough, sterilization is completely non-negotiable. Wiping your blade down with alcohol before you cut is what prevents the spread of nasty viruses and other pathogens. You have to do this for every single plant, every single time. It's probably the most important step to make sure this rescue mission doesn't turn into a disaster. So here's the technique, broken down into 4 easy steps. First, hold the plant steady. Then, grab a flashlight and press it right up against the sheath. This will let you see exactly where the buds are so you can avoid them. Then, you're going to make one single, smooth cut right down the middle. Remember, the goal isn't to take the sheath off, it's just to relieve that pressure. Okay, so how deep do you actually cut? The answer is incredibly shallow. We are talking just 1 to 2 millimeters. That's it. All you want to do is just pierce that thin, papery outer layer. If you go any deeper, you risk slicing right into the very flower spike you're trying so hard to save. And exhale. The surgery is over and the buds are free. So now let's talk about the risks that were involved, and I think more importantly, how you can set things up so you never have to do this again. Look, any procedure is going to have some risks. You could accidentally nick a bud, or you could introduce a pathogen if you aren't perfectly sterile. But the benefits here are huge. You get a successful bloom, you get perfectly formed flowers, and you stop a potential rot infection right in its tracks. When you do it right, the reward absolutely outweighs the risk. But really, the best strategy is always going to be prevention. The real goal is to create an environment where the sheath just dries up and splits all by itself, just like nature intended. The keys to this are excellent air movement, get a fan in there, managing your humidity, watering early in the day so the plants aren't sitting wet all night, and using the right fertilizer to encourage strong, healthy blooms. And this quote really says it all, doesn't it? While knowing how to perform this little surgery is a super valuable skill to have in your back pocket, the true mark of a master grower is creating conditions where it's simply not necessary. So there you have it. You are now fully equipped with the knowledge to free a trapped bloom. But the real question is, what kind of grower will you be? Will you be the skilled orchid surgeon, always ready to swoop in and rescue a bloom in distress? Or will you become a master of your growing environment, preventing the problem from ever even happening in the first place? The choice is all yours.